Today's lecture is lecture number 14, especially part A. In next week, we'll take final exam. That is June 26th. But today is 1 week before that, June 19th. This week is 14th week, part A. Okay. We learn about this jQuery from this chapter, but let's look at this menu part where we are. We are learning this jQuery tutorial and the effects we completed, and in this week we'll complete this section, jQuery HTML. This is part A in 14th week, and jQuery traversing and Ajax, and probably this will be part B in 14th week. And in this lecture, part A, we'll try to complete these 7 chapters. Okay, let's start from this chapter. Okay, this chapter is explaining about the get method. Let's look at this get content method, and those are text HTML value, and that the short method name is VAL, and we learn from this front part. As we learned, jQuery contains powerful methods for changing and manipulating HTML elements and attributes. We'll learn today this manipulation, DOM manipulation. One very important part of jQuery is the possibility to manipulate the document object model. We learned this one in the previous lectures. jQuery comes with a bunch of DOM related methods that make it easy to access and manipulate elements and attributes. As we learned, DOM means document object model. Here, using this text method and HTML method, VAL method, we can manipulate DOM. Using this text method, we can set or return the text content of selected elements. With this HTML method, we can set or returns we can set or returns the content of selected elements, including HTML markup. We'll see some examples later in this chapter. VAL, this one is setting or returning the value of form fields. And this is the example using that text and HTML methods here. And let's look at real example instead of this. First, we should use this one, JavaScript, and the minimized one, and even uncompressed one, that will anyone we can use. This is jQuery, that is JavaScript code. Here, this one is the JavaScript code using jQuery. Before looking at this one, let's look at the basic structure using HTML elements in this body area. This one is P pairs, and this one right side, and 2 buttons here. One is button 1 and another one is button 2. The ID name is. if I am clicking, let's try to click first. Show text. I'll click, then we can see this alert statement. Okay, I'll click again. Okay, this one is the alert statement text. This is some bold text in a paragraph. I'll click OK. And also let's try to click this one, show HTML. Okay, HTML, this is some using this bold element, even that tag, that element is shown here in a paragraph. Okay, same, but this one is showing even that HTML element together. Okay, then let's look at this JavaScript part in this script area. As we did already, as we learned already, we can use this one. And here, if I am clicking this one, then this one is, if I am clicking this button one, this alert statement will be executed. And this one is explaining this text method. Here, test ID name test is here. Test, and that text, this one, we can get it, but this one is not considering that HTML element, just a pure text string that will be returned. We can show in this alert statement, including this concatenated text string, this one, and the returned one, this one, and those concatenated character string will be shown as we did already. Here, text, here, this is some bold text in a paragraph. You can see probably okay, you can see in this alert statement. Please try. Also, if we are clicking this one, then we can see even that the p tag element together, that HTML element together, because that is HTML method. Exactly like this. Okay, this is the example how to get that content character string on the screen. How we can retrieve using this method. Later, even setting that is possible if we are providing some character string in these parentheses. Now the parentheses empty, it is simply getting, retrieving. But if we are using some character string value inside of these parentheses, then we can show, we can set instead of getting. Okay, let's look at that example later. Before that, let's try to complete this one first. The following example demonstrates how to get the value of an input field into the jQuery val method. This one is explaining about this val method. Using this one, we can get it, and with the alert statement we can show out that the value. This is the value, and we can retrieve that. How? Using this method. And we should specify that ID name here, and hash character here, and the test, that is ID name here. This one, and we can get the value, initial value of that. If we are not changing, then we can get the same character string initial value, but if we are changing that, like this, any arbitrary character string you can put in, and you can get it exactly the same character string shown here. That is the role of this val method. Okay, even the attribute value can be retrieved. We can get it using this attr method. This one is the example, and here attr with this one. And now the result will be shown in the alert statement. You can see that alert statement, and that is showing the result. And the https w3schools.com, that will be shown. Okay, let's look at again this part. Okay, we learned that this attr is getting the attribute name, this one, this attribute name's value, attribute value, and that will be shown. Let's look at this part first. This one is composed of these p pairs here, paragraph, and here button. Right side you can see the result here. That is hyperlinked one, and the h reference, and that is the value for that attribute href. This is the attribute value. The attribute name is href. Due to this attribute name, we can get this value, attribute value. Here simply we can get it because this JavaScript using jQuery statement here, attr with this method is getting href value, that is this one, and that will be shown in this alert statement like this. And we can see that is hyperlinked, and if we are clicking this one, then that will jump, that will be hyperlinked to that site like this, w3schools.com HTML tutorial. And let's go back and let's try again after changing here. Run. Okay, this one is simply getting, thus it is not changing. Later we'll see another example that is setting that attribute value href. Thus we can jump to the other website instead of this, and this one is simply getting that. Simply getting that like this, as we observed already, and simply this one is jumping, hyperlinked to that website like this. Okay, let's move to the next, and that section, that chapter will show that setting. Okay, this is about the set content. Three methods: text, HTML, and the value, but the main difference is just some parameter values are included in these parentheses. Instead of the empty parentheses, we use that empty parentheses in the previous get content method to get content, but if we want to set, then we should provide something. That something is here in these parentheses, and we look at. Okay, the three methods are same, and this one, this method will be used for setting. Thus, instead of the empty parentheses here, this one is containing some character string here. First one, text, hello world. Second one, this one is including some HTML tag, even though this one is simple one, bold. And finally, this one is showing one example using VAL method, and also this one is containing some character string here. Then those parameters will be used for setting Let's try. Here, set text. Then you can see that original text will be replaced into this new character string provided here as a parameter. And if I am clicking this one, second one, also that is simply replacing, and that parameter, this one, character string, will be shown there. And finally, initial value was this, but we can change that to the other name, dollar it out here. Even your favorite language is possible. Let's try to use Korean consonant. Oops, that is wrong. We should provide here, like this. Like this, Korean characters in front of this, intentionally I put in, and any other language, any other foreign language that is possible here, thus I am showing that here, like this. This is Korean consonant. Here we should learn about this callback function for the previous methods, text, HTML, and VAL. All of the three previous jQuery methods, text, HTML, and VAL, also come with the callback function. The callback function has two parameters: the index of the current element in the list of elements selected and the original value. We then return the string we wish to use as the new value from the function. Using the following example, we can understand better. Those are using callback function. Okay, inside of this parentheses, we can see this one is callback function. Here. And one is index number and original text. Those are parameters for this callback function, and they will be shown using this returned character string. Another one for this HTML method, also this one is using callback function here. Similarly, also we can see the returned character string later in this example. Excuse me. Okay, let's look at this body area, plain HTML elements here, p pairs here, two p pairs, and two buttons, this one and this one, two p pairs, and one is button 1, ID name, next one is button 2. If I am clicking this one, then you can see all the text. This is a bold paragraph, new text, hello world. There's old one and the new one. They will be shown here, and the index number will be shown here. And if I'm clicking again, then also the previous whole character string will be the old one, and newly this new text character string will be attached. And also the index number will be shown there. Okay. If we are clicking this part, HTML, this button, then you can see old HTML and the new HTML and index number similarly. And also I'm clicking again, then whole the previous character string will be old one, and newly the new character string will be shown there. And finally this index number will be attached there. Okay, let's look at this JavaScript part using jQuery. Okay, here, as I mentioned, you can simply delete this, and still we can get the same result. Okay, I am repeating again because that is simplified way. Okay, button 1, this one, that is clicked, then this callback function will be executed. This one. Test 1. Test 1 is this one, first paragraph. Test 2 is second paragraph. Test 1 and the text and the index number, then the original text, and this one is returning all the text, the original text, the original character string. Those are concatenated, and the new text, hello world, that will be concatenated together, and index number finally enclosed in these parentheses, and they will be shown as we observed here. Also similarly, if we are using HTML method, then even that HTML element is shown there. After interpreted, and finally, as we observed here, similarly, this one is showing the index number there with this one. Okay, after closing some open tabs, let's try to move to the next. And even this attribute value we can set, and depending upon that attribute name, we can apply to different attribute and the effect. With this jQuery attribute method is also used to set change attribute values. This one is the example. Okay, here let's look at this part first. Here, probably as we used already in previous lecture, in the get content related method, this one is showing some example for setting. Okay, here this one first, hyperlinked one, paragraph here, and next one is button here, change href value. And the third one is p-pairs, simple p-pairs. Okay, if I am clicking this one, then change href value. To change that, we are using attr method. But before that, let's try to click this one first before changing. You can see this one is HTML tutorial section. We are hyperlinked to there. And okay, let's go back. And if I am changing this one, if I am clicking, then that means I am changing this one, href value here. After that, let's try to click this one. Then this one is jumping to jQuery tutorial part instead of HTML tutorial. That means that the href, this one is being changed. How? Using this attr method. And here attr attribute name should be specified here in this parentheses as a parameter, and after that the attribute value, that is the full domain URL, full URL, and that will be the attribute value for this href attribute name. Then simply that is replacing the previous this one is default one web page is HTML tutorial as we observed, and we are replacing with a new jQuery web page. Thus we could see this jQuery tutorial web page because this one is changed. Okay, the attribute method also allows us to set multiple attributes at the same time. And the following example is demonstrating how to set both the href and the title attributes. There may be many attributes, and we can set or change or replace at the same time. here. In that case, like the JSON syntax, like this, JavaScript object notation, these curly braces that is enclosing, and inside we are enumerating that attribute name and the value, name value pair, and those are enclosed due to this double quote. That is JSON syntax, JSON format, and this like the object, JavaScript object notation. For single one, we didn't use these curly braces, but if we are using many over 2 name value pair, then we should use these curly braces. Okay, this one explain again about the callback function, but this one is mainly for attr, attribute method. Okay, let's read this one first. jQuery method attr also comes with the callback function. The callback function has 2 parameters that is exactly the same. And the following example demonstrates attr with the callback function. How to use that callback function in this attr method. Let's look at this one. Here we are providing this one, hrefs, and this callback function. And let's click this one first. Then we can hyperlink to this HTML web page. But after changing href value, and let's try to verify whether that is being changed or not. And we can see this is jQuery tutorial web page. Thus that is being changed. And simply here this function, callback function, is using that index number original value, and here the returned one is original value due to this jQuery, that is concatenated. There's this one is original value. Original value, href original value is this one. And after that, this one is concatenated. Thus, let's try look at again. If I am clicking this one, and this one is okay, I am clicking again this one, then you can see this one. And before that, let's try again. I'll show you this one. I will check the link address, copy link address, and I will show here. Then that is the new href value. You can see that is concatenated as we observed here, or that is attached to this one and this one, that they are concatenated, and we can see this one. Thus we can jump to this jQuery tutorial web page. Okay, you can try others. Let's move to the next. Okay, this one is about the add elements. With jQuery, it is easy to add new elements content, and there are 4 methods here. 4 methods are shown here. We look at 4 jQuery methods. Those are used to add a new content. First one is append. Using this append method, we can insert content at the end of the selected elements, and this prepend. This one is inserting content at the beginning of the selected elements. Right after selected content element, we can insert content before. This one is inserting content before the selected elements. Okay, let's look at this one first, append method. These methods are easy to understand conceptually. Simply into this one. Okay, let's look at this part first. Basic HTML element. 2 p pairs and the 3 list items here and 2 buttons here. And if I am clicking this one, append the text, then that is appended text. Append the text, then this one will be button 1. Append the text, then this one will be executed. Append p element. There are two p elements there, and append this one. Then where should we append? Okay, I'll click this one. Then you can see all p pairs. After that, p elements after that, right after that, this appended text, that character string is appended like this. Also this one. Also append list item. Then this one, if I am clicking there's this button 2, then this one is executed, and this one is appending this list, another list item here, then that will be 4 like this. And similarly, we can insert content at the beginning of the selected HTML elements. Instead of appending, this one is prepending in front of this, like this. In front of this, there's the number will be reordered. First one, that is prepended 1. The others are changed in terms of that order the name, order the list, that sequence number is being changed. Here, how to use that prepend here. Similarly, after selecting that element, we can use that prepend method. And we can add several new elements with append and prepend. This example will be used for that. Here, append the text. Okay, this one is the basic part of this, using that HTML element here. 1 paragraph, 1 button here. And if I am clicking this append the text, then this function will be executed. And this one is creating text 1, text 2, text 3 variables. And after that, 3 variables, those are all appended together. In this way, we can append many variables together. The first one is this one. Create text to HTML. And the second one is create text with jQuery. Third one is creating text with DOM using this .html. There's we can show. If we are trying to differentiate into some number 1, number 2, number 3, then we can simply differentiate them. Then we can see number 1, number 2, number 3 are those character strings are concatenated together in that sequence. Thus, in this way, we can append several new elements. Also, we can use this jQuery after and before method. As the name is meaning, that is self-explanatory. This one is self-explaining about the method, this one is right after that selected HTML elements we can insert, and also we can insert just before the selected HTML elements, as the method name is meaning. Okay, here let's look at this body area first, and one image, this one, and you can see the source and the alt width and height, and the two buttons, white button 1, button 2. If I am clicking this one, insert before, this one will be button 1, this one will be executed like this before, and that is bold type. If I am clicking this second one, that is button 2, then right after that image, right after that object element, this one will be added like this, appended. Italic type. If I am clicking again, another before that character string, including that bold tag, also similarly we can as many times if we want, you can try. Add several new elements with after and before, that is also possible. Similarly, we can use this text1, text2, text3 variables, and we can use here in these parentheses as parameters. Then we can add all together after this, text1, text2, text3 in the sequence. Text1 I, text2 italic love here, number 3 jQuery, and this is third one is this one, bold type. That's the HTML element. Thus we can create element with this element name, and we can put in that content, then we can show like that. If we are clicking again, then we can insert right after that previous result. Okay, you can try others. Okay, we learned about the addition and changing, that kind of thing, and also removing elements, that is possible. With jQuery, it is easy to remove existing HTML elements, and there are two methods, jQuery method to remove. One is remove. With this remove method, the selected elements can be removed, even its child elements together. If you are using this empty method, then this one is removing the child elements from the selected elements. Thus that is the main difference between them. Let's look at this remove method first. Okay, here let's try to understand this basic HTML element in this body area. This is composed of this div, and in this div element, 2 p and 1 just a text node character string that is there. Here, this is some text in the div, this one. And second one, third one, those are paragraphs here using that p element. After that, and button, this one is showing this, remove div element, this one, this button. Thus, if I am clicking this button, then this one will be executed, and this one is showing how this remove method is being used. And what will be removed? div1, that is being selected here, and we are using this remove method, then whole thing will be removed like this. That element itself, and including the children belonging to that element, those are all removed. Okay, after closing some open tabs, let's look at another example. Using empty method. And what is the main difference between them? This one is removing only the child elements of the selected elements. Even though we are using the same code here, except this empty method, the others are exactly the same. But this one is removing only that the children belonging to that div selected element, like this. Thus, this element itself is not being removed. That's the main difference between remove method and empty method. Also, we can provide some parameter values here. Then we can filter the elements to be removed. Here, if we are providing the class name using this dot and the test, then that they're filtered, that the corresponding element will be removed. Here, let's look at this part first. There are 3 p elements, p pairs here, 1, 2, 3. Among 3 p pairs, 2 p pairs are using class name test. Here, this one and this one. And finally, last one is this button. Thus, we understand the basic structure of these contents using HTML element. And then we can apply this JavaScript using jQuery method. And we are running remove. Then how? Which one will be removed? And here, p element is being selected. There are 3 p pairs here. Among them, each one. Remove dot test. That means filter only that corresponding class name test that p pairs are being removed completely, like this. Okay, we can enumerate other class name in these parentheses as another parameter here. Then we can remove also other class name at the same time. Here, let's try to understand this basic part of this HTML elements here. How many p pairs? 1, 2, 3, 4 p pairs. And the first one is not containing any class name here. And the second one is class name test. And second one, third one, fourth one, that is using class name demo. This one, that is second, third one is using class name test. And the fourth one, that class name is different, that is demo. And let's try to click this one. Then this one is removing all p elements with the class test and the class demo. How? In this way. Here in this parenthesis, we are enumerating that class names. Dot class name, comma, dot class name. If we have more, then comma, dot class name, and so on. Here, only 2 class names are enumerated here. Then we can remove 3 from these 4 pairs like this. Okay, let's try to move to the next. And this one is explaining about the get and the set CSS classes. Okay, even the CSS properties and value we can manipulate into this jQuery method. Those are add class, remove class, toggle class, and the CSS. Probably we used this one in previous chapter, but we learn in detail in this chapter. This one, add class. Using this one, we can add one or more classes to the selected elements. And the name is self-explaining. There's this one, with this remove class, we can remove one or more classes from the selected elements. And the toggle class, this toggle means that is changing the mode. Thus add, and remove. It is alternating. And toggles between, that is called the toggling. Toggles between adding and removing classes from the selected elements. Finally, if we are using this CSS method, then we can set or return the style attribute. If we are providing some parameter values here, then we can set it to this parameter value. But if that is empty parentheses, there's no parameter, then simply we can get the style attribute. Okay, this one is the style using the class name important, and the style is defined here with this property value pair. Let's look at this add class method first. Here, add class. Okay, let's look at this basic HTML part first. H1, this one, H2, this one, and the 2 paragraph here. And the third one is div, this one is div. And final one, this one is button here. And if we are clicking this one, then this one is showing the example of add class method. Add class is to element. How? In this way. This one is about the style, because this is a CSS manipulation using jQuery method. And thus you can see the changed color, and the font size is being changed. How we can do that? And let's go back to the original style here. And we can apply this one after clicking. This add class, blue, that is class name, and that is the selected elements to apply this add class method. And blue, that class is attached to each element. And this, if we are using this one, add class, then important class name is being attached to this div, as we defined initially. And blue, and those should be predefined like this. Style important, style blue, using that class name. Class name important, class name blue. That should be there. In that case, we can apply this add class method. And H1, H2, P, and here or more important, that is changing, important, that is the font size, XX large and bold type, like this. This is important class style, and this one is simply the style is about that color, that is blue. Also, We can enumerate the class name, many class names together in these parentheses, and those should be enclosed with this double quote. Then we can apply this one. Let's try to change this one to single quote instead of double quote. What's happening? Exactly in the same way that is being applied. The style is being applied. Thus we can use even the single quote. Anyhow, we are learning this one. Let's focus on that. Add class using this one. We can add class name here, and we can add more class name here. Okay, let's move to next. Remove class method that is possible. Even removal of that class name blue, that is possible. There's initially that was blue style using this blue class name like this, but we can remove 3, 1, 2, 3. Those are using this class name blue, and we can eliminate, we can remove that after clicking this one. Then you can see those are this one removed. Thus this class name blue is not being used for this H1 pair, H2 and the P elements. Okay, after closing some open tabs, let's move to the next. And the final one is probably toggle class method. Not probably final, probably CSS or more. That is the class name, last one. jQuery toggle class method. To this one we can alternating addition and removal of that classes. From the selected elements we can do that in this way. Here we are using toggle class, and be careful about that capital C and the blue class name, and we can add or attach, we can remove or detach the class name from that element, from that selected elements. We can do that. Finally, this one is CSS, but that is being explained. Thus, that is there's no explanation about this in this chapter and no example here. Okay, let's move to next. This one is explaining because it takes some space. Thus, it is using another chapter instead of explained in the previous chapter. Okay, CSS method. Even though we learn and we used simply, we are learning more in detail here. jQuery CSS method. The CSS method is this one. We can set or return one or more style properties for the selected elements. Here, if we are providing the property name as a parameter, then we can get the property value like this. If we are providing the background color, then we can return the value of that background color property like this. Let's try to look at this one first. Basic HTML elements here, H2, 3 P pairs here, and finally that is button. If I am using this one, I'm clicking this one, then this one is returning background color of P like this in this alert statement. Background color RGB 255 0,0. Which one? This one. This one is red color. This one. Thus, if we are using okay, let's click this one. If we are using this CSS, because this chapter is explaining about this CSS method, let's focus on that. P element is being selected, then which one among 3 P pairs here? In this case, first one, this one. This one is red color. in terms of the RGB format, this one is 255, 0, 0. Thus, the returned value shown in this alert statement, we can see again background color like this. Background color RGB 255, 255 and 0, 0, 0. 255, 0, 0. That is the exactly same, this hexadecimal format, and this is RGB format. Please keep in mind the first one will be returned. If there are many others in terms of the selected elements, the first element among them is returning. Okay, set the CSS property. If we are providing more, if we are providing the property value together as a parameter, you to this property name and this is property value together, that is name value pair, then that will be used for setting of the CSS property in this way. Here the others are exactly the same. There's less focus on that. Here we are using one more parameter here that is being used for setting. Background color will be changed to yellow. Which one? Let's try to look at all of them. In this case, when we are retrieving, the first one was retrieved, we could get. But when we are setting, then all of them, here background all of them, all P elements are selected, and their background color property name, background color, it is property value, they are being used for setting. Thus we can see the result here. And this one is about the setting of multiple CSS properties. Property name, value pair, property name, value pair, those can be enumerated in these curly braces. This is similar to the JSON format. We are using that like this. This HTML element, this part is exactly the same to the previous example, and let's focus on that. This one is exactly the same except this one is enumerating many property value pairs, actually two pairs here. Property name is background color yellow and the font size is 200%. And if we are clicking this one, you can see all P pairs, all P elements are selected, and that property value pairs, those are applied to all of them. Okay, and let's look at these dimensions. Probably where we are, let's look at. And probably this one is the last chapter in this jQuery HTML section, and probably we can finish soon. With jQuery, it is easy to work with the dimensions of elements and the browser window. This one is the screen size, and that is the dimension. And how to get? We are using this dimension method. And the jQuery has several important methods for working with the dimensions. The name, width, that is being used for that width, as the name is meaning, that is self-explaining. If we are using this parenthesis, then that means that is the method we can get the dimension of that width and of that height, and inner width, inner height, outer width, outer height. And we should understand what's the main difference between them. And this one is explained about that with this figure. Here, let's assume this one is the element, and this one is the width. Width is about that. Height is about that element itself. But if we are using padding, then that inner width is including then that padding size also, and thus element size, padding size, those are, if those are added together, that means that is inner width in terms of width. But in terms of height, that is called inner height. If we that element size and the padding, those are added together, then that is the inner height. Then what else? Let's look at this outer width. Outer width means including even that border line, if there is some thickness, if that size is included in that outer width. There's element, padding, border, the sizes are all added together, then that is showing the outer width. And we can get that value with this outer width method. Or similarly, this outer height is showing that the summed size. That is the size of the border line and the padding size, element size. If they are all added up together, that means that is outer height. With the empty parentheses here, no parameter here. But if we are providing the true value in these parentheses as a parameter, true means even though that method name is exactly same, that is including margin size. Even for the outer height, that is same. The margin height, that is included. That is the main difference between them. And the other method shown in the following example, that is exactly same. And explain about that using some examples following. Okay, jQuery use and height method first. With this one here, width. Initially it was defined here, width and height, 300 pixel and 100 pixel. Then this one is showing that inside of that div area. Here, this basic element, HTML element is being shown there, and basic. Okay. After that, if we are clicking, then this one is executed, and the text. Those are concatenated. This plus equal operator, and this one is using width and height method. Those are shown here. And okay, this one is showing that is conceptually so simple. And let's remind this one. Width is 300 pixel, height is 100 pixel, padding is 10 pixel, margin is 3 pixel, and the borderline is 1 pixel. Okay, we'll use that numeric value and we'll add together. And next example will show some added value depending upon that method name. If we are using inner width, then that is returning the width of an element including padding size. Thus, let's look at this example with this real example. Then if we are using inner height instead of height, inner width instead of pure simple width, then we can compare that values are shown also together here. Thus width 300, height 100, inner width of div 320. That is including padding size. How about the padding size? 10 pixel. If we are multiply 2, then that is 2 times then this value. That means left side, right side. Padding is applied in that way. The top area and the bottom area. Thus we should add one more, thus twice. 2 times this value, that is 20. 20 will be added. Also height, 20 will be added. Thus, if we are adding 20, then the final one will be like that. Similarly, if we are adding one more, then that is called, as we learned, outer width and outer height. Then even that border line, that side will be added together like this, outer width. Then 2 more, then because the border line, that thickness here, 1 pixel. Thus top and the bottom and the left and right, that the value should be twice than this. Just like that. And if that is containing the parameter true in these parentheses, that means that is including margin size, like this. Outer height, outer width, then the size is including this margin value twice. That means 6 pixels will be added because that is above top area, below this bottom, and left side, right side twice. That's 2 times. Then 6 pixels should be added together. Then final result will be like that. And this one is explaining a little more about the jQuery width and height. This one is using window.height and document. This is comparing, but simply this one is showing the same result. You can see this one is 420. This one is this area. And in this example, specifically in this example, that document width and height, window width and height, those are the same. There's this one, result size 420 width and 295 height. In the units in pixels, they are shown here. And document width, height, window width and height, those are same. If we are increasing that, then still we can get the same value, 534 in terms of that width and for document, for window. Okay, even setting is possible if we are providing the parameter values here in these parentheses. Then the width that the unit is pixel, thus that will be increased like that, enlarged. Okay, let's try to shrink, reduce to see the whole image together from the beginning. This is 500. Instead of that, let's try to shrink a little bit. Width and height just 50 pixel per setting we are using. Then this one. In this case, we can enlarge. Okay, let's move to next. Okay, that was the at the end of the this chapter and the end of this section. Probably, thus we can wrap up here.